Whispers float in empty halls. Footsteps echo down the walls. Shadows break where secrets lie. Every echo holds a hidden sign. Blow the trace along the crime, a hush that haunts the night, a fear that lives in light. Unravel lines of twisted lies. In the dark, the story waits unseen.
And here we go.
Hi, I'm Rochelle, the Psychic Sleuth. Spirit shows me patterns across past, present, and future. What comes through can be symbolic, metaphoric, or not always literal, though sometimes it is. Messages often carry multiple meanings that weave together through energetic tracking, prophetic sequencing, and blueprint mapping. I know I talk fast sometimes, it's just how spirit flows through me. You can always replay or slow down if you need to. I triple check what I receive with astrology and cards, but this isn't about being 100% right. It's about truth, responsibility, and integrity. I'm the one sitting with spirit on these cases, so this is a space for truth seeking, not debate. Please respect the work. If you can't honor spirit, this may not be the place for you. And before we start, I want to make something clear. My process has evolved for a reason. I don't use sitters anymore. I don't do live channeling on heavy cases, and I won't be performing on command. That's not safe, it's not accurate, and it pulls the work off track. I work the way spirit directs me, through mediumship, pattern recognition, astrology validation, cards when needed, and prophetic sequencing. Every layer strengthens the message and protects the integrity of the case. Please don't tell me how to do my job. This isn't about entertainment. It's about truth, responsibility, and helping families. If my style isn't for you, that's okay. But this is how I work, and this is how the work stays accurate. You can support me is I have partnered with the company Astro Song. It is a song based on your birth chart. You enter your birth information, and they make a song for you. You can pick the length that you want your song, how many verses you want it. I will put a little clip here of mine. If you're interested, there is a link in the Linktree in the description box with everything else. You can enter my name, Rochelle Lapham, in all caps. Again, information in the description box below for a 10% discount.
And they can see a constellation of complexity. Balance light and shadow with such grace. Every scar became a sacred space. Rachel, you don't need to prove your worth. You've been enough since the day of your birth.
It's just a taste so you could get an idea. I appreciate all your love and support. Hey guys, well, I'm back, or trying to be back. Just so you know, I have been doing the best that I can to bounce back. It's taken me a little bit, but I've been working behind the scenes. Some stuff I actually did EVP on Nancy last night, and I fell asleep during it, but I'm going to go through it. I didn't get to go through it today, but I'm going to be going through it. I've been working on some passive income on my stores in hopes that that can help support this and support other things. You know, I'm trying to support myself as much as I can. Things have been really, slow and weird for the last year. So, and then the heat with everything that went on, it took me back a couple weeks and a little bit longer. So I'm trying to get back to normal and everything. Thank you everybody for those that pitched in for the air conditioner. I'm alive because of you guys. Like, seriously, I didn't realize how much I was being impacted, and everybody stepped up and, amazed me and touched me. And I don't even want to talk about it anymore because I'll start crying. I don't even have the words, honestly. If anybody would feel called to donate, even with community help, even as much as a coffee, I still owe on the first one, and I still owe on Castiel's, and I still owe a friend. So, I'm trying to do the best that I can from this side, but I am only one person. It is a lot. So all the love and support helps. If you cannot, do not worry about it. It is not something that you have to do, but liking the videos, commenting, just being a part of the community is helpful as well. And if you would like to, please check out my stores. The link is in the link tree. Don't forget to check out the podcast if you haven't already. It's now on Spotify. But we're a little behind on recording the second one because Tracy, had a loss. And so we've been kind of both of us have been kind of getting back to normal. Everything kind of happened around the same time, and so she had a couple losses actually. So she's been having a tough time, and we promise that we're going to get the podcast back and going. I believe that we are going to. I think we're going to work on harmony because it's something that she knows a lot about, and just so she doesn't have to do a lot of research right now. So plus the little girl needs to be talked about, especially since they are redoing Adam's trial. So that's probably going to be the next thing that we talk about, and we're going to be doing that as soon as possible. I'm just waiting for her to be ready. So I appreciate your patience on that. And I think that's about it. Just, liking being part of the community. I did finally get my Amazon store up. I finally got that to go through. That was a hassle. So I'm kind of excited about that. So we'll see if it helps, because anything that I can do right now is helpful. And I've been considering doing monthly readings for the signs and putting it on my PayHip. It would only be a few bucks per video. If you guys are interested in that, let me know, because I don't want to put a lot of time into it, because we're talking hours and hours of time if no one's really interested in it. So it would be something new, but I'm trying to support my business right now so that I can keep doing this for you. So yeah, that's basically it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into Nancy's reading. I may end up doing a channeling reading with her. I just don't have the oomph with me tonight. I'm getting there though. So I'm probably going to pull cards again. And I know that things have shifted in her case, because I am now seeing something that I didn't see before. Actually, a couple things. And I'll let you, maybe I should just tell you guys what it is now. So I was going to wait till I was kind of pulling the cards on it to validate it. But the one thing is I keep hearing a van door opening and shutting. I don't know if that's in reference to when because apparently she was doing gardening and working with plants or something, and she cut her arm. And so me and Tracy and I were talking about this, and Tracy, I didn't know about it, but I guess Nancy had a bandage on her arm. So we were wondering if some of the blood on the porch was actually like some of it was old and some of it was new from the cut. So I don't know I'm not really sure if the van is supposed to be something with the flowers, if that's what she's trying to tell me, because I just hear and see the van, and I kept getting the reference of flowers. So I'm not, it's all in how we perceive it, and I'm not really sure on that. If that's why I'm getting it, or if it's for another reason, because I know definitely heard a truck for a reason, and I did keep picking up a female that seems to have kind of a smoker voice. I feel like she's got blondish hair. I don't know if she's related to this case or not, because the lady that was arrested named Coral, she kind of reminded me of her a little bit, but I don't think it's her. So I don't think that person's involved in this. Like, you guys know, I feel like it's personal, and I feel like this is a ruse, and that's what I've always gotten. But we'll see what the cards, if the cards validate that again, because we haven't done it in a while. And I think that there's some fog lifting on this. I actually was reaching out to witches on TikTok to see if they could tell me if it was cloaked, because every time I tried to see where Nancy was, I kept seeing darkness, and I felt like I was like, and I always got private property between the cards and everything, and what the EVP was saying, and the cards, they were saying she was close, and they kept giving me private property. Both of those things did. So they were matching. And every time I try to check in, I'd see darkness, and like I was in something. But I'm wondering if they moved her, because, and you'll see in the EVP I ask and they answer. So actually I asked if somebody was involved, and they answered. But when I was listening to the EVP this morning a little bit, not to edit it, but just to see kind of if I got anything, I was seeing like an area, and I haven't seen that in Nancy's case. So if I remember right, I asked in the EVP if she was moved, and I think I got an answer on that, but I'm going to have to go back because it was this morning. But I feel like for once I'm seeing landscape, and I've never seen that before. I've always felt like I was on a private property, and that's what the cards and that's what the EVP said, and I always felt close. But I'm wondering if they didn't move her, like waited till the coast was clear, waited till it was possible to move her and put her at her final place, because we've gotten the freezer a few times in the EVP, and we've gotten private property, and that's what I've always pulled. So we'll see what the cards pull today, because I keep seeing like this field of desert, and I still think she's in Arizona. I don't think she's in Mexico. I could be completely wrong on that, but I just don't. I think that the whole Mexico thing is what they're trying to make it look like. And I said this in the EVP, but I feel like the person that called in that Nancy was in Mexico and they found all those bodies, I think it was actually to find all the bodies, but using Nancy's name because they knew that was the only way it was going to get attention. I hate to say that, but I think that's probably what happened. I could be completely wrong on that. That's just my opinion and my thoughts on it, and what I feel about it. So I don't like feel like she's super far, but I feel like it's a place known. I keep getting like it's like a desert field, right? And it looks barren to me. And I keep getting a reference to, you know how sometimes these telephone lines, I can't breathe all of a sudden, have like they like run through like fields and desert and stuff, like sometimes like straight through, and they're like really tall and thick. Like I keep getting that. Not like a farm, not like an electrical farm per se, but like how they just run through like the middle of this like barren desert area. And there's something about like kind of like a 2-lane road here. So it's not the main highway, but it would be like maybe a side road or something like that. A 2-lane road, and then it turns, so it's like these two roads intersect and the field's in the middle. I was gonna kind of draw it out and I don't remember to do it. So let me see, 1 second. And I know a lot of people say like, you're psychic, why can't you get like a name? Like the way it works with me is, for one, it doesn't matter if you're psychic or not. It's universal law, it's karmic law, it's how things are supposed to play out. It's the timing of everything. That's why everything felt dark until now. And I actually got July in my reading. So I think maybe something may happen in July. I'm not sure what. But I'm being pulled back to it for a reason. For those of you that have followed me for a while, you'll know that I'll get pulled back to a case before something breaks or before somebody's found. That's happened in multiple cases. So if I'm being pulled back to something, it's for a reason. As you guys know, I leave a lot of things up to timing. I believe that everything has timing. There's, again, universal law, karmic law, timing. Things are supposed to happen when and how they're supposed to happen. And it's interesting because we're coming up on Mercury retrograde, which this would be an old case. So I'd have to, I don't think we were in Mercury retrograde when she went missing. I'd have to double check that. But sometimes old cases can come back into the spotlight around Mercury retrograde. But so I think I was wondering again if it was cloaked, because I've never had a case where I could not see like landscape or where somebody is or get details on it in descriptions. As those of you that follow me know, I get descriptions of areas. I remote view areas. Like that's how I see it. And it's not as easy as just telling you a street name. It's more of how I see it if I'm there, or how I'm seeing it from an aerial view. That's how it works for me. So it's interesting. But again, I originally think that she was somewhere else first, and that recently they have moved her. I don't know if that coincides with the new ransom letter. Actually, Tracy says like it's old, but it's resurfacing. I don't know. So if you can see my map, okay, this is the best way that I am seeing it. Okay, there's like a 2-lane road here, and then like a little side road here, one that you would turn off into. There's the barren field desert, and then the electrical is going through it. And then in the distance, you can see mountains. Not like really close. I feel like they're kind of far. This is very flat. It doesn't feel mountainous to me. It feels very barren and flat. And so I feel like she would be buried out there, because I was getting the reference to my burial. Or at least, it could be shallow burial. It doesn't have to be anything deep. So this could actually make sense as to why in the original readings we were getting sorry, I'm having a hard time breathing all of a sudden. We were we were getting private property, but I was also getting things in the car that were like desert and stuff, but we are in Arizona. It's going to pull that up anyways. And, I was a little confused because of the Pisces influence, but Pisces can just be like, yes, it can be water, but it can also be confinement from my understanding of astrology. So I only use that as a validation tool. But anyways, that's kind of what I was seeing in this morning, and I don't understand the van. Like, I just kept hearing, you know how like, and it feels like a larger van, and I kept getting like there was something on the side. I don't know if it was flowers or what, but like it was covered up for a certain point. So I'm not really sure on the van thing, but it's got to be important because I keep hearing like how a van slides the door open and how it slides closed. Like, you can hear that. Now, if you guys have not seen Monk's new video of his, I guess it's the drawing. He did like a drawing off of the video. Please check that out. The comments are saying certain things, and it jives with what I've been getting. It jives with the EVP I said about 20 times. So let's pull the cards and see what we got today. Also, I want to mention one thing that I just remembered. If you guys have not watched the live or where I talked about some new stuff in Nancy that I had gotten, I had, just to remind you guys, I had a dream of golf courses and I couldn't figure out why. And I was getting like, I can't remember the name of it. We ended up figuring out that the name of that I got belongs to where Nanos lives. Like, it's the golf course he lives on, and I didn't know that at the time, but I dreamed about it. We didn't find out until like a few weeks ago. So I felt like that was interesting, and I'm not really sure why that is. And then one day when I was coming back from Tucson, I was literally led off track by my GPS. I don't know why, because there was no road construction that would have held me up. And if you guys don't remember, I got the fairgrounds in the very beginning, and I wasn't really sure why. And the sheriff's office is by the fairgrounds, and I ended up over by the fairgrounds by the sheriff's office. So that's back to back. First the day that we find out, holy crap, I dreamed of where he lives, and then secondly this, I don't know. So it's just weird to me. I don't understand that. I don't understand if there's like, I didn't want to say that like there was that kind of corruption or covering up going on, but there's a reason for it. Also, the EVP has said Ruiz, and it's a name I cannot let go of, so I want to hang on to it. The first card, it just validates, again, cover to avoid consequences. Okay, I've said that the whole kidnapping thing was to cover something else that happened earlier in the day, to make it look like something else. Okay, we're going to start with these cards. I kind of put them in a different way because I don't have a lot of room here tonight. I've pulled out all the cards that I want to use. So, what I just said, a cover to avoid consequences. I feel like that's what the kidnapping was. Delay after event makes sense, because if something happened earlier and then they came later, that would be the delay after the original event, which is kind of what I feel happened. Familiar to the victim. Okay, vehicle related, obviously, because she was taken in a vehicle. Everybody's chasing the wrong trail. That could be Mexico and that kind of situation, and the kidnapping. So we have residential property, which is where I think she was, because again, I'm seeing this other area now. And past, present, future is going to come in the cards, but residential property, construction, we've always gotten that. Or it can also be like altered ground, like a place that was altered in some way, near natural water. So there's not a lot of water in Arizona, but that could be any type of like drainage, pipe, anything like that, right? Layer, don't conclude. So this is very layered. We can't fully conclude it right now. Public space, meaning, again, this is an area that's more public. And the water system, so there could be some kind of drainage or something by where she is. Interruption, escalation. So there was an escalation and multiple actors were involved. So this is kind of interesting. So we have manipulation, deception. So you all know who I think is being manipulative and deceiving. And this is more of a card for me, or overthinking, because I constantly overthink and I'm just like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she was abducted. Maybe this, maybe that, like constantly. So I'm always questioning things, but people that were following me since the beginning, since I first got this, like, we didn't know who he was. And I was literally on a live when I got information about this. Somebody asked me about it, wasn't going to work it. They showed me Nancy. They showed me someone below him, like a son. I went to Tracy. I said, I'll get back to you guys. I went to Tracy, and Tracy was like, dude, I found this guy, and he matched like some of the stuff in the astrology. So I constantly question it, but this is a card to tell me I'm overthinking. I need to quit overthinking. Okay. So there's multiple actors, I think, in the after effect, but there's a single actor in the original, like what originally happened, right? It could also be made to look like multiple actors, but I do think that there was some kind of help involved after the fact, but the original thing was one person, and not what it appears. So if everybody's thinking it's a kidnapping, it's not really a kidnapping, because it's not what it appears. Private restricted area, I think, and then it's interesting because we have assisted after the fact, a stranger. So this would be a stranger to Nancy. It can be a stranger that was brought in to help him, but it would be somebody that assisted after the fact that she may have not known, because familiar to the victim is the first one. Staging and misleading elements. And movement after event. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Jealousy, attachment. Okay. So that's for that deck. Okay, we're going to start with these cards. The very first card off the bat, betrayal. And then we have somebody that's got betrayal complex. Everyone leaves. Then we have someone with a narcissistic injury. Their ego was hurt. They're, finally told no. We have a misdirection at play. I always get these misdirection cards. So you got a misdirection at play. You got hidden agendas. You've got perfect image, obsession with appearance, hidden affair. I do think there was a hidden affair going on that kind of, that maybe Nancy found out about. Divine delay. This makes sense because, as I've been saying, I kind of stepped away because it was just the same information over and over. I couldn't see where she was. I was very frustrated, and I was just like, I gotta give it time. I gotta let it breathe. So everything has divine timing. This is just reminding me there's a divine delay. Someone has a God complex. So then we have hidden agenda. We have, this makes sense too, channel block. What was I saying? So now we're getting divine delay and channel block, meaning that the channel's been blocked and it's been a divine delay, and I've been wondering about that. So sometimes it's a Neptune influence. False persona. Somebody is pretending to be somebody that they're not. They're actually, they have a good mask on. Parental puppeteer. So inheritance, family name, emotional blackmail. That's interesting. Abuser. This can be emotional abuse. Narcissist. Martyr pattern. So self-sacrificing, expecting a payoff or loyalty in return. Contracted union, pressure under obligation. So he was contracted, he was married to someone, and he felt pressure. Or he felt like there was an obligation because he was in the contracted union. Keep looking, there's more under the surface. So it could be more. I think gambling's a part of it. Somebody makes rings, and that one guy on the door camera, he was wearing a specific ring. So I find that kind of interesting. So we have multiple motives. So there's more than one motive with this. Lovers quarrel, two people fighting, being in an argument. It doesn't necessarily mean Nancy. It could have been going on around her. Money matters. Insecurity. Somebody was insecure. And it's after money matters. So someone was insecure about money matters. And an echo chamber, there's lies echoed, possibly over money, because you have those three cards together: money matters, insecurity, and lies echoed. There was a trigger point, something that happened. Me and Tracy tend to think it was the birthday or leading up to this. And if it's true that she was going to change her will or her trust, then that makes sense. And breaking point. So literally you have a trigger point and a breaking point. So there was something that happened prior to this that led up to this, where they started planning. So I feel like there was some sort of plan, but it got squashed because the act itself is impulsive, and then there's a cover up. That's the way it always comes in. I try to see other things and I can't. So I could be wrong, but I mean, trust me, this has made me go over and over in my mind. Like the card just said, I am overthinking it because it's being made to look a certain way. So it's going to make us think that way. That's the narrative that is being put out to the public. So we're going to believe the narrative because of what we're shown, right? But it feels like it's an illusion. Like I said, Ocean's 11 style, kind of. It doesn't necessarily mean that they recorded it sooner, but there's something done, even if it's an acting job. They did that in Ocean's 11. So entitlement rage. Abandonment fear. I think that he really thought that because she was so upset that she was going to abandon him. But entitlement rage, he felt like he was entitled. Mask collapse, so the mask started falling, and that's when the breaking point, like the mask started falling. I think she started seeing some true colors and stuff. There's a hidden lover again somewhere. A smiling threat. So this is somebody that very Gemini. So the thing with Gemini perpetrators is they do have dual sides to them, and they are full of misdirections. And I feel like the main perpetrator is Gemini. And so the smiling threat is somebody that is smiling and happy and nice and, oh, I'm such a good person, but they're really a threat. So you really don't know what they're up to. There's an unhealed wound. I'm going to pull one more on this. A power imbalance. Okay, which makes complete sense. There's a power imbalance because Nancy was trying to put her foot down, and somebody didn't like that. So I always get like a headache with her for some reason. And that was the first vision I got, was her getting a hit in the back of the head. So we have local. So that tells me that more than likely not far distance. I know that the chart didn't really say far, but I don't know. Sometimes if they're moved, the chart's not going to say. So we have ISIS, which is reconstruction, cover up, concealment. Basically everything. We have Lilith, which is, so these are like astrology and asteroid inspired cards. Rejection, rage, exile. You don't own me. Hypnosis, sleep, drugging, unconsciousness, vulnerability. So I had started to kind of wonder if my timeline was off, if maybe, because allegedly Nancy didn't take her 10 o'clock, and I got the chills with this card. Allegedly Nancy did not take her 10 o'clock meds. I think that she was one that would take that religiously because she needed it. She knows that she needed it. So don't see her missing that. So that's why I'm like, it probably did happen earlier, but then this is staged later. But I had started wondering, like, was she drugged instead? And then they came back, and then he came back. Because what I saw, when I saw her being attacked and everything, that was very clear. It played out very clearly in some of my last channelings, where I saw her kind of like, crawling on the floor and all of that. And even if there was something that happened, like allegedly they were there for 40 minutes, that's long enough to clean things up, plant things, whatever they're going to do, right? But me and Tracy and I have always thought that she wasn't dying fast enough. Like, me and her both feel like she had cancer or something, but that there was like things like she was just still doing okay, and they needed things sooner than she was going. And I also think, again, there was a breaking point. And so we had wondered, because Caltrate had came in the EVP, and that is something that you can give somebody that's a natural supplement, but it's not good for people with heart issues. And so it just makes me wonder if my timeline was a little off before, because sometimes when we're getting visions, like our timelines, it can be like shrunken in, like we're thinking something happens earlier, but it's like kind of all together. Sometimes it just depends on how it's shown. And so I'm just wondering if she wasn't actually drugged first and then he came back. But at the same time, I keep seeing her hit in the head, like by the doorway. So I'm not, that's why I can't kind of make sense of it. But we do feel like there was drugging done that night, or something. She was given something earlier. But also, if she was, well, because allegedly she was sleeping. This is where my timeline is confused, because I feel like, again, that the kidnapping was just like a cover up. But part of me has started to wonder if, like, he didn't drug her or something, and that's why she didn't take her 10 o'clock. And then he came back to kind of finish the job and take her away. Unfortunately, I don't know. I can only know what spirit gives me and what I'm allowed to see, and that's the part that I'm a little confused on. But this card's definitely interesting. Gemini. Just said we had a Gemini involved, but deception, double life, misdirection. 5th house, romance, hobbies, children, joy, risks, children, risky behavior, partying patterns. And she was, somewhere else before, but that's what the 5th house is children. Libra, indecisive, people pleasing, superficial, passive. Sacred, it can also be sacred spaces, partner related, tied to agreement, dispute, legal, or transaction. So that's interesting. Karma, Virgo, perfectionist, critical, anxious, overthinking. This can also be work sites, medical facilities, storage units. So it just makes me wonder if she was not being also handled control. So I'm so upset right now. I just recorded over an hour. It said that the clock was running and it wasn't running. So I just recorded the whole card reading and nothing saved up until 30 minutes. So I have to try to recreate it. Hopefully the cards are in the same order that they were in, because there was stuff that was pulled that was like, holy crap. And that was the best stuff that didn't get recorded. And it kept saying I knew I should have stopped it, because I had the thought maybe I should stop and just, start again. But it was showing it was counting down. It showed it was recording. So, yeah, pretty screwed. It was a good reading, and it's all gone. And when you're doing readings like that, like you can't, you know, you can't recreate them. So I have to try to see if my stuff is in the same order. I don't know. Okay, so it's not gonna be as the same as like me pulling cards and stuff. I was just sitting here for an hour and a half, so I'm gonna try to get through this the best way that I can. Okay, to start off from the cards that I used. And hopefully I don't repeat myself because I didn't listen to the whole thing because it was 35 minutes. All right, so we have the Virgo card, which is something that's critical, anxious, overthinking. It can be work sites, storage units, handled, controlled, or coerced. So also, I was wondering, again, if she was put somewhere storage. Then we have the 8th house, disposal, death events, cause of death, hidden resources, dark secrets, concealment, disposal. Eros is desire, fixation, longing. Sun is ego-driven arrogance and burnout. Just trying to remember the cards I got. Loki is trickery, gaslighting, chaos through lies. And again, altered state, drugs, alcohol, psychosis. Person. Interesting. Cancer, homes, family property, childhood places tied to emotional history, protected or concealed, private, domestic, emotionally charged. I don't know if that's because it happened at her property or there's another property that's connected, because it did happen to her property. But originally I thought she was at a house, and I'm thinking she's been moved because the cards that I pulled. Okay, so that was those cards. Then we have soft edge, expand, search, Leo sun. It's literally like places that the sun shines. It could be overlooked easily, visible, but glamorized and overlooked. Areas tied to the perp. Aquarius, which is interesting because I was getting the electrical lines. So literally Aquarius rules electrical lines, and she does have a lot of Aquarius in her chart. So it was interesting because I think there was a study at that time. Taurus and Venus is literally fences, buried under fertile soil, hidden in earth, rule. Destroyed evidence, so they could have burned destroyed evidence. Gemini, crossroads, which is what I gave you guys on the image. I did that at the beginning, so I'm pretty sure it's still there. Forked trails, suspects, duplicated, and also false directions as well. It can also be neighborhood, dual access. Always thought she was in the neighborhood for a while, but like I said, I think recently they've moved her. Pipes, drainage, so there's some drainage nearby. Property boundary. So I originally think she was at a property before, and I do think it's been changed because of the other thing, unless it's somebody else that I'm picking up, but it came through when I was listening to the EVP, so I'm like, well, I'm finally getting location, but it's giving me both in the card. It's giving me private property and it's giving me the other one. So Aries is literally barren lands, battlefields, constructions. It's also confrontation and attack. So literally in the 7th house, in the 930 chart, that's the only time that 7th house is highlighted, which is of the other, and it's in Aries. So that's impulsive, but it's also a first attack. Again, infliction, confrontation, but it's also barren land, sharp rocks, battlefields, underworld ties. Somebody's got underworld ties in some way, shape, or form. Private storage. I think she was originally in storage at a property because I could only see myself. I can only see her in the dark in something. Sand. There might be toxins in the sand of some sort, because sand and toxins come in together. And 2 locations. This is not going to be good as it was before. Sorry, guys. Like, I just got to get through it now. Okay, so then we have So I think this is giving me two different places. So we have active construction, rental property. So remember how I said I feel like a construction, in maybe one of the abandoned places I was looking out there. So active construction and rental property, actually in a utility structure, which makes sense because the EVP kept saying shed, back of property, blah blah blah, edge of neighborhood. So towards the edge of the neighborhood, in a vacant property that was maybe being worked on. In walking distance. I don't know why they would put her there and then move her later, but then we have, after that, then it changes to public, blends into surroundings, easily overlooked, symbolic, water only, dirt and earth. So that aligns with my visions of seeing the place I'm seeing now and also feeling like she was somewhere else prior. And we've, again, gotten things to suggest that in the EVP on the cards. First off, I don't know if I want to say all of these we went. I don't. Cheyenne, calm down. My dog is just being so weird tonight. She just keeps freaking out. I don't. So I tried to watch a little bit of it because I don't want to repeat the cards or edit a bunch out. So hopefully these, are in the right order. Thankfully, I didn't mix them back up. So these are the cards I originally pulled. I just went through and found them again. So we have the pretender, someone that's pretending to be somebody that he's not. This is interesting. Pastor, preacher, spiritual leader. That can just be someone that's kind of like spiritual, religious, whatever. We have the traveler. So we know somebody that traveled afterwards and that likes to travel. I don't know. I just had a weird thought that I didn't have before. I wonder if there was somebody that like was in her church or something that's involved somehow. It's weird because it's the pretender and then the someone that pretends to be like spiritual or religious. Anyways, traveler, I take that as T because he traveled after the fact and he likes to travel. Coerced pawn. So someone was coerced into helping. Cult devotee. Now, it doesn't mean it's an actual cult. It can just be like a group. So it's interesting because the coerced pawn and then the cult devotee. So this is somebody involved in that group that's into like the same things, because I always get the cult card. And it can just be like a group of people with the same belief systems, etc. Coven, whatever. So it's interesting. There's a coerced pawn that's in the cult. Those two came in together, so I'm going to take them kind of together. Someone's a gaslighter and a night stalker, because this happened at night. So it's literally what the night stalker did. He came in. This was interesting because I already told you guys about the dream about Nanos, and I've never gotten anything on it before, but we got the shielded officer. So in some aspect, a shielded officer has helped. Janitor, cleaner. Now I'm taking this as they cleaned up after the scene and all of that. So it's almost like we have a whole group, like each had their own job. That's what it kind of feels like. And this was well put together. So shadow lover. But it can also be like the motive is rejection. So, if he was rejected for something, doesn't necessarily have to be like a lover. It's the meaning behind it. So chameleon, someone that blends in and can be, seem normal and be a great guy and really isn't. Serpent, snake in the grass. This is someone you cannot trust. So they pretend, you know what a snake in the grass is. I've pulled this card before, pedo. Master manipulator. interesting hitman, and that can just be energetically, right? But if there's somebody that's coerced, again, Reaper proxy acts on behalf of another hitman, so that could be, like, again, this was made to look like a kidnapping, but there was other people brought into play. There was probably a plan, but I think it just got moved up. That's what I said before. Robber. So that makes sense. I mean, you robbed somebody's life. I know they said that nothing was taken from the safe. No one knows that but Nancy. So no one knows what was in there. Sacred Slayer killed to save. So save themselves in some aspect. Betrayer. Again. Immediate circle. And Justice Twister. So this is somebody that is like, oh, I did it because I had to do it, or I didn't have a choice, or that kind of thing. So we have possessive control. Someone has a victim mentality, like, oh, you know, same goes along with the gaslighter. They're going to gaslight somebody, but they have this victim mentality, like, oh, poor me, I'm the victim here. There's a false narrative being put out there, guys. Talked about this. Authority figure abuse. Now, authorities, Cheyenne's doing that a lot. Authority figures can be teachers. They can be law enforcement. Cheyenne, it's okay. They can be teachers. They can be law enforcement. But somebody that's abusing their, authority. Story contamination. Again, we have a false narrative and story contamination. Control fixation. Identity collapse. Substance influence. I do think there were substances involved. Chronic instability. Now this was interesting because it says an old relationship reactivated. That caused resentment and humiliation. Okay. And a narcissistic injury. And there's a passive hidden hand. So there's somebody that's more passive that's a hidden hand in this situation. Somebody had a loss of inhibition. And so this is a friend. So somebody that was possibly, you could look at T as her friend as well, not just her son-in-law. So it can come in both ways, or there could be a friend that's involved in somebody. I think it might have said friend in the EVP. Because actually, I think that the back to haunt was supposed to come in with from what I remember, the first time that old relationship. It was old relationship, back to haunt, resentment, humiliation. That's the way it came in. And then narcissistic injury. Okay. Victim perp entanglement or intertwined. Truth under the surface. Fear of exposure. Frenemies, we just said friends. Now we got the frenemies card. Saw and had to have. So there's something that she was standing in the way of. Somebody has a disassociation, and there's also court legal involved in this. Jealous obsession, and that can be, I want what you have. First time offender and reactive violence. So in all my visions, I've always gotten that, they just were reactive and violent in the situation that happened earlier, and that they've never been in trouble before. First time offender. My dog has been acting weird all night ever since I started doing this reading. She's my spirit seer, and she continues to look over here and down the hallway and growl and act weird. And now she's walking around acting even weirder. Okay, what did I do with that? These cards I never pulled, and these ones blew me away, and that's why I was so upset that the other recording got lost. Hopefully I have the right ones in the order that they go. But these blew me away. I swear that I already pulled them, and I already did the reading. You guys are gonna, just be like, what the heck? Okay. Alright, so this is why it kind of blows me away. So we have the courier, which is the messenger. which is the one that's doing the ransom. It seems like everybody has their own kind of place in this situation. So we have somebody that is the courier that is delivering the message that is putting out the ransom. Can't be the same person, but what's interesting is it's next to the traveler, that we got the traveler twice now. And that's somebody that likes to travel, likes to experience. And we all know that sounds like somebody. They're also a genius. They're smart, they're innovative, they have exceptional ability. And so all those kind of go together. And I'm just thinking the courier is the same person because of the way that it's coming in. So he could be, he's also an educator, just saying. We know who the teacher is. And I swear to God that I pulled these out. I didn't even know we had an educator card. But that's why I'm so upset that my reading didn't record, even though it was showing it did. Because if you could have saw the look on my face. So we have the courier, the traveler, the genius, and the educator. I think they're all the same person. Okay. The educator is literally a teacher, or guide, or mentor. Interestingly enough, I'm thinking the young knight, there's a young knight involved. And I'm thinking that is somebody that, because it says young, vitality, innovation, potential growth. I think because next to the educator that this might be somebody that he was mentoring in some way, maybe in his 20s or something, like a younger guy. And he's involved in some way. But I kind of felt like that, and I had asked Tracy, I said, do you think maybe like one of his students or somebody who was mentoring or somebody that like looked up to him, that like maybe, I don't know why I'm getting mushroom hunting, maybe they went mushroom hunting together, or he taught him about biology or something. But there's some kind of younger knight here that the educator kind of has control over. And then we have, he could be the hunter, right? So he could have done some, pursuit and strategy. So this could be both of them, because this is like pursuit, strategy, stalker of the prey. Now, I think somebody already knew like her ins and outs, but it could have been made to look like this, right? If they were leading up to this, even if it happened sooner, they already had a plan, including this. Then we have the bartender. This is somebody that's like a small talker, master of liberations. Okay. We have the painter. This is, and these, I think there's couple people in these cards, but a lot of them is the main person or educator. The painter, someone that's, creative. But they can also make things abstract. So what has been made abstract? The whole kidnapping thing. Okay. And the magician card is next to that. So literally in the magician painter, somebody that is, the channeler of power, potential, magic, illusion, and manifestation. So literally the painter, he's, he has made something abstract and an illusion. Okay. And then this one was interesting. So these three came in together. We have the mother. We can all think of who a mother is, not Nancy, another mother. That is a captain, somebody that is the navigator, the one that is kind of like doing the decision making. And they're also a diviner. So somebody that is maybe into, that kind of stuff, the darker arts or the see or the unseen, foresight, insight. Then we have the swindler, someone that is a master of deception and disguise and conspiracy, and sometimes a gambler. That's what a swindler is, a gambler. We have the dancer, someone that is about movement. Now, we have a spy, and I'm just wondering if this is a witness or somebody that knows something behind the scenes. I've always gotten kind of a secret witness. This was also interesting because we have the researcher, which we know somebody that's into biology. That's the same one as the educator, right? So you have the researcher and the king. So he's the one in charge, the authority. It's also inheritance. King is also inheritance card. Just saying. Second, that's like the 10th time that's come in. Then we have the learner. So researcher, king, learner. So the learner, again, I think that this is somebody that he mentored in some aspect or looked up to him or something like that, or he taught something. Okay, then we have can't even say this word, akashic. So this is about discipline, verification, seeker of self-restraint. So try and discipline. It's interesting because he has discipline and he is the learner. So, and then we have a repairman, so somebody that's good at fixing things. We have a blacksmith, again, someone that's good at, force meeting, shaping, and tempering. So, or melting, sorry. Force, melting, shaping, and tempering. So this is someone that kind of builds. It's interesting because the repairman, the blacksmith, they're kind of like the same thing, like they work with their hands, right? And then we have architect, which can be somebody that's in construction as well. We were blueprints, planning, design. So this can also be our educator who has designed the whole thing and planned the whole thing and supervised the whole thing. Can also be construction. So that cards can have multiple meanings. All right. Then we have the community, neighbors, team, connection, cooperation. And this is why I get confused, because I did ask Spirit, like, can she be found? And they said in the community, respectfully, or something like that. And so I have always kind of felt she was in the community. Every time I tried to get too far, I felt like I was leaving her. I always felt like she was in a property there because the EVP was pointing to a property. My cards were pointing to a property. I was flying blind because, again, I couldn't see other than I was in a box. That's not terrain. So I felt like I was on a property in storage of some sort, right? The freezer came in a couple times and she had said she was cold, so I don't know if that was her or not, but I just find it interesting. So if those cards weren't interesting, just saying, it was like the same thing when I pulled the son-in-law card and I forgot I had it. So we'll see if these cards are in order. First we have random attack. So again, I feel like it was planned for another time. Something else happened. This would align with my visions. It was a random attack. Because they were lost, like, in who they were. So the individual has become separated or strayed from their intended path. So it could be mentally overwhelmed and, like, they just kind of lost it, right? And they strayed from their path due to, like, obsession. And this could be obsessing over something. It is usually like a mental fixation that overrides logic and emotion. Obsession, distortion, perception blurs boundaries and drives behavior in pursuit of control, connection, or fantasy, often at any cost. So again, and the fear of losing something. Fear drives impulsive choices, desperate acts. Whether rooted in survival, shame, or panic, it distorts judgment and can turn someone reactive, avoidant, or dangerously unpredictable, which is what I feel happened, which makes sense with what I was originally getting, that, like, there was an argument and something just, like, there's been a breaking point, right? And so it's almost like somebody lost their way. There's a random attack because someone lost their way due to obsession and fear. And also, I'm thinking it has to do over money, gambling things, stuff like that. Really. Held against their will. So Nancy couldn't go anywhere, do anything. She was held against her will. Then we have the cover-up. Keep getting those cards. Emotional, reactionary motive to conceal a crime, secret, or mistake, often done in panic or guilt. The cover-up becomes its own offense. And so I have said that this was actually a cover-up to cover up something that had happened already. Digital footprint. There is a digital footprint, and we do know about Porch Guy, but I think everybody was supposed to see that. That was the only thing that was found, and I think it was for a reason. Neglect. I feel like Nancy was being neglected, but I also feel like this person thought they were being neglected. But I really feel like this is towards Nancy. Like, she was It says the individual suffered harm through inaction, oversight, or abandonment, or responsibility, whether intentional or due to incapacity. And that could have even been when he reacted on her and he didn't do anything to help her. So then we have disoriented and delusional. So, you know, he became disoriented and delusional about certain things, and he was drowning. Symbolically, like drowning father. So we all know who a father is. And then we have known to the couple known to the victim. Greed. Crushed. Adult. Male. So somebody was really an adult male was crushed over a situation. There's jealousy. There's an acquaintance involved. Again, friend, acquaintance. I don't know if it's of Nancy or of the main people. Trafficking. Now that could be any sort of trafficking that's surrounding it. We already got underworld stuff. Gambling is underworld stuff. There could have been other things. If allegedly the sheriff is involved, then you could have ties to things. Mental instability, authority figure. So authority figure is a teacher, a coach, sometimes somebody with a badge. So this, considering we pulled the person with the badge earlier in the dream, there's some kind of connection here. Organized crime. They could connect to organized crime in some way, shape, or form, but I also feel like this crime ended up being very organized, because you have multiple minds at play on how to hide what was done, how to make it look like something else. Online digital contacts. So I think that there's communication through some sort of app that's very quiet. I cannot remember the name of the app. It's not WhatsApp. It's something else, but it's encrypted, like some sort of encrypted act. Like that's how they kind of communicate. Lust and desire, that can be over money, anything. Family member over a kill pattern. Okay, those were already pulled, remember. So we have off the beaten path. So this is not everything is hidden in plain sight. This suggests a location far from routine, path perhaps down an old trail, an abandoned road, and an area long forgotten. It may feel isolated or untouched, but it doesn't mean it's irrelevant. So that's just the off the beaten path, place no one is looking as well. So city, again, it can be in city limits, or the city may be close. Covered and wrapped. I've always felt like she was covered and wrapped in something. West is the direction I always wanted to go. It always feels weird going other directions. Even though, like, again, she was somewhere else first. So remote. And I kind of described what I was seeing as far as remote, hidden, isolated, hard to reach places. Ravine Hall, that's just like a dip in the earth. Whatever, similar stuff you can find out here in Arizona. Moved. So this is the card I said if she was moved, if we would pull it, and we did. So this is my validation for it. I think the EVP might have validated it too. I can't remember, but because they validated a couple things. So she was moved. And this is why I think it opened up. For some reason, they took her out of the storage wherever they were holding her before, and they moved her into wherever they moved her now, where I'm seeing now, I believe. It's not in its original position. Movement may have been intentional or concealed, either to hinder discovery or alter the story of what occurred. So they could have, that kind of makes sense though, if they had somebody that was like in the neighborhood, or somebody that was in charge of a property where they could put her like in a storage or in a freezer or whatever, then they could change the timeline of the death. So that kind of makes sense. Like if someone is frozen for a while, and then depending on when they get found, you know, I mean, I don't know. Or maybe they just didn't have a place to put her and they needed to kind of conserve her until they put her wherever. And they're going to try to make it look like it's, I don't think she's in Mexico. Although if they're trying to make it look like the cartel, it would make the most sense, but I don't think so. Because I mean, I could be completely wrong on that, but it just doesn't feel that way. Exposure. So she could be exposed eventually. And then power lines, like just like my vision, the power lines that are running through this barren field that I keep getting. And then we got house and property. So I think that's originally where she was at. And then we have water drainage supply. So this kind of makes sense in the cards earlier because we were getting a lot of private property, but I was also getting terrain. So it was giving us two different locations. So there might be some kind of water like drainage nearby. There might be a mountain range, which in my picture I showed one in the distance. I don't think it's like right where she is. I think it's kind of in the distance. Maybe she could see the mountain ridge. Plus it's high. I feel like it's more flat than higher elevation. Familiar area. So this area is familiar to one of the perpetrators. Either a route that they took or a place they used to go to. I was kind of looking for mushroom places. I don't know out here. Circle back. So this is like literally a place that was previously searched, or a detail that was previously passed. They're asking for renewed attention. The energy of return may reveal what is hidden in plain sight. Literally, we're in Mercury retrograde. Things need to be returned upon. So evidence need to be looked at. So this is talking about circling back, not circling back to different information and possibly locations. The campground. So I don't know. I pulled the campground card. There could be a campground nearby on the way. It could be a camping area. Trapped. So this is like, this is stuck energy too. It's not always, sometimes it's symbolic. So this is talking about representing a hold or halted movement. So energetically, it may mean stuck energy or stuck spirit, but I don't think she's stuck. I think that the energy is stuck. Like I've said, I feel like it's been blocked. Rocky terrain, so rugged rocky zones, concealment locations, graveyard. There could be like an old graveyard nearby her. It's possible. Or it could be symbolic for like her graveyard. I hate to say that, but sometimes that card comes in like that. And then we have multiple locations, again aligning with them being moved. There's multiple locations involved. We have a liminal zone boundary, so that's like the edge of somewhere. She was originally at the edge of a property, I feel like in the back of a property, but this is like a liminal zone, like a fence line, edge of the road, like a liminal zone area. And then it has remains revealed, so it's a possibility she could be found soon. I was getting July in some of my readings. I'm curious if that's why I was getting pulled back, because again, I don't know if I already said this, because again, I'm re-recording this. A lot of the cases that I get pulled back to, it's for a reason. Sometimes they're going to be found, sometimes something's going to break. We've seen it in Elijah, Dylan, Caleb. It's just something that happens with me. So I tend to get pulled back energetically for a reason, and if something's going to open up, what it did for me today. So that could also mean remains revealed, like by a liminal zone. Foul play, obviously. Close to last known location. So within a narrow radius suggests proximity. So it's remote, but like not too far from her last location. It's not giving me like far away vibes. We have a shallow burial. We have fork in the road. That can be two places, a split indecision or an actual fork. A container, see? And this came in, I was like, this is what I felt like I was in. Like I could just feel like I was laying down in something like this and it was dark. And that's all I could see for months. And that's why I was getting frustrated. Even when I was going to search, I was flying blind. And at that time, she was beyond reach when she was in the container. I don't think she is now because we got the remains revealed card. Path and trail. There could be a path trail nearby. A body in a vehicle, to move her. And then north. There's north and then there's west. And, in the beginning, I kept going to kind of northwest, because that's like literally where he used to work, but I guess it's been a long time since he worked there. I don't know. And if you guys remember, the other reason I feel, besides the fact that EVP has said their name like 20 times, and I think a Ruiz is important, and I think there's a Daniel important. I don't know if you guys remember, I got Richard. Not saying that there's a Richard involved, but I find it interesting that there was one surrounding the case. I pick up things surrounding the case. It's not always someone involved. And so that was a big drama thing as well. So I don't know if you guys remember, but Daniel keeps popping in my mind, that name, and also Ruiz came in the EVP. That kind of is like stuck in my mind. Like I can't kind of let go of that name for some reason. But I think we need to look at younger people connected to T that he may have. So these are the ones I pulled. Jealousy. Victim had history with the killer. Killer may have an item belonging to the victim. Argument or fight is a strong factor, which is what I felt. Multiple people are involved in the crime. Additional evidence at the scene may be discovered, which is kind of screwed now. Victim didn't know one of the killers. That's why I think this is coming in, because there's multiple ones. So I think one, maybe she didn't know. One or two, whatever. Because it literally said she did, and then it said she didn't. So remember, we're talking about multiple people. Lies, deception, and potential cover-up again. That's all that's come in. Suspect lives near the scene of the crime. Perpetrator has behavioral patterns of a serial killer. Killer may currently be in prison for another crime. Who does that remind you of? Who's in prison right now for some Bitcoin thing? So this tells me he's connected. Allegedly. Because what are the odds? He's the only other person that we know. And it says for another crime. So it's not the exact same crime. It is related, but it is something else. So that, you guys know who I'm talking about. Isn't his name David or something? I can't remember his name. We got David in the EVP and it didn't click right now. Pretty sure that's his name, but correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, the one that was basically reminding someone that they owed him Bitcoin. Important details are not being revealed to the public at this time. Closer observation of the victim's living space may provide clues. Kind of screwed on that. Someone coerced the killer. So there's a coercion here, and I just don't know if that's the mother coercing the father, and they're in not, or if it's somebody else, like they coerce somebody else to be involved in this, or other people be involved for some reason. There was a motive for committing the crime. Witnesses may not be fully disclosing all of the facts. Wonder what witnesses those are. I'm pretty sure that's all the cards I pulled. I had to redo it, and it sucks because I know it was not as good as the original, and I could pull a lot more, but I think we get the gist. It's just validating. If I pull the same stuff, I get the same stuff. Except for now, I think it's a little more open as to if they moved her. I mean, that's the way it's coming across. But I will get the EVP out as soon as I can. I was going to do it tonight, but since it's 2:30 in the morning, I had to re-record this. That's not going to happen. Again, if you would like the update to see what's going on, I update everything in the GoFundMe. I am trying my hardest to get back to best. Any and all support is appreciated. I appreciate you guys so much for being a part of the channel, sticking with me, being supportive. It means a lot. I have been, it's been a rough road mentally for me for a while. So I am doing the best that I can. All right. So thank you so much. That sucked. I had to redo that, but it's redone now, and I'll get this edited and get it out as soon as possible. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I appreciate you.